Well, such behavior has become a familiar feature in the in our parliament. Uh, Ruckus, disturbances, ruptures, walkouts, protests without any rhyme or reason. I would say that because most of the protests are for the camera. They do it just to tell their constituencies that we are doing something, we are in action over here, we are looking after your interests. But how are they looking after their interests? By tearing off the papers, by snatching mics? That's not the way it should be. But that's how it is being done now. It was not always like that. During the golden period, the Nehruvian period, the proceedings were held with decency, discipline, dignity, decorum. It was there. People expressed their differences in a manner that everybody would understand why so and so is different, and that so and so would also give his or her reasons very, very clearly, so that everybody understands his or her point of view. Now we do not know why you are just creating ruckus in the this thing. We do not know what exactly you are saying. Everybody keeps shouting, and no point is heard. I mean, no points are made and no points are heard. So what's the point? What's the use of such protests? Of course, you can say that the Nehruvian times were elitist times. The high class people were dominating the parliament, and they were exposed to the Western parliamentary practices, and those practices or that conduct or that way of doing things is not true representation of the average Indian mind. The average Indian wants to do things in his or her own way. But what is that way? It cannot be ruckus. It cannot be breaking of furniture, etc., etc. There are better things. There are better ways. They conduct themselves much better than what our representatives do in the parliament. Why is it that this thing is happening? So, one of the justifications or clarifications they give is that now the parliament is representative of real pluralism. By real pluralism, they mean that people from the grassroots level have risen and now they are representing in the parliament. Then that cannot be a justification for indiscipline. Push, you cannot shove, you cannot do all those things which these scenes are showing. This is not parliamentary by any standards. Whoever is doing it, it doesn't matter whether it is the opposition or this thing. Today's ruling class was yesterday's opposition, and they were doing the same thing. We have not forgotten how Jaitley had justified when they were creating ruckus in the parliament to block passages of certain bills, because they said that it is their strategy. It is for the ruling party to outwit them. And now they are at the receiving end of this thing. So there is a fall in standards of parliamentary behavior. And this has not come with BJP. This has not come with, in fact, in 1990, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. VP Singh was the Prime Minister, and late Shankar Dayal Sharma, he was the Vice President, and he was presiding over as RAJYA Sabha when the Congress which was in the opposition, created such a ruckus in the house that Mr. Sharma broke down. These are only symptoms. Such behavior is only symptom. Why are things coming to such a pass? Let us first of all look at the latest incident, the monsoon session in Rajya Sabha. There was tumult in the house. They wanted a division of votes, but that was ruled out by deputy chairman, and there was ruckus in the house. In that ruckus, as you can see in this, only Mr. Harivansh could make out that the ayes were more than the nays to all those farm bills, and they were all passed. This inflamed the opposition and it created further ruckus. The papers were torn, the mics were snatched. This sort of behavior on both sides is frightening actually. We should worry about it. Till late 60s, most of the persons fought elections to win and actually represent their constituency in the parliament or state legislature. And they were serious about their calling. I'm not saying that everybody was like that. Yes, there will be black sheep, and there were. And some they went there for power and wealth, but most of them were sincere to the nation, their commitment to the welfare of the nation, and perhaps that was the reason why till Shastriji's time, we saw, from Nehruvian time to Shastriji's time, we saw building of institutions, huge institutions, infrastructure, and the democracy taking deep roots in our collective psyche. The constitution reigned supreme. But then after that, from 70s onwards, things started worsening. Right from Indira Gandhi's time, now ordinances are passed without any hesitation. Whether such ordinance is really required or not, but national interest is cited and the ordinances are promulgated just to cater to a particular constituency for short-term gain. There are also people with unsavory backgrounds, unsavory pasts, who are increasingly finding favor with various political parties and getting elected to our legislatures as well as the parliament. You can't expect them to respect the rules and regulations. Having said all this, now let us talk about the conduct of debates in the House. Why are debates not being held? Why is it that both the ruling parties as well as the opposition parties are hell-bent upon avoiding well-informed debates? Today's MPs, MLAs, etc., elected representatives, let us say, give a damn to the issues facing our nation. You can see that when parliament is in session or a house is in session, many benches are just empty. You just see very few people. I really wonder whether they form the quorum. When they are unable to articulate, they are unable to address the real issues, they will say something provocative, which will inflame the other side, who will counter it with their own brand of riposts, and the rumpus, or rather the ruckus starts. I suspect that is what everybody over there, barring a few, that's what everybody wants. Not that we don't have good intellectual debaters in the House, we still have them. Take Shashi Tharoor, watch him. I will not show his entire speech, just the way he is addressing the chair, the way he is addressing the finance minister, and the way he sets the tone of what he wants to say, what and how he's going to say.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, sir. Mr. Chairman, sir, what does the Aam Aadmi look for in a budget? At the personal level, he would obviously like more income, lower costs. At the broader level, he would like policies that will increase his job opportunities, reduce the prices he has to pay for daily essentials, and widen his life prospects. What does the economist look for? At the macro level, policies that will create growth and jobs, improve exports, promote economic stability, tackle inflation, and still help the government keep its fiscal deficit under control. What does the politician look for? Sops that he can sell to the voters. This budget, Mr. Chairman, has much to disappoint the Aam Aadmi, frustrate the economist, and prove a mixed bag for the politician. Now, any budget must address 5 issues. 1, fiscal consolidation, that is a policy aimed at reducing the fiscal deficit. 2, job creation, usually through boosting manufacturing. 3, increasing savings in order to boost investments. 4, inflation control in our country, that's obvious. And 5, improving investor sentiment, both domestic and foreign, so we can promote growth. I'm sorry to say, Mr. Chairman, this budget falls short on all these 5 criteria. Yes, it's a political budget. The government has at last discovered the virtues of attending to the needs of the agriculture sector and the rural poor. But this has much more to do with the upcoming state elections than with a coherent economic vision.
Now let us watch our Prime Minister talking about his predecessor.
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री हैं, आदरणीय व्यक्ति हैं और हिंदुस्तान में पिछले 30-35 साल भारत के आर्थिक निर्णयों के साथ उनका सीधा संबंध रहा और निर्णायक भूमिका में रहा है। 35 साल तक इस देश में शायद ही कोई ऐसा अर्थ जगत का व्यक्ति होगा जिसने हिंदुस्तान के 70 साल की आजादी में आधा समय एक ही व्यक्ति का इतना दबदबा रहा हो और कितने घोटालों की बातें आई, लेकिन खास करके हम राजनेताओं ने डॉक्टर साहब से बहुत कुछ सीखने जैसा है। इतना सारा हुआ, उन पर एक दाग नहीं लगा। बाथरूम में रेनकोट पहन करके नहाना, ये कला तो डॉक्टर साहब ही जानते हैं और कोई नहीं जानता।
I don't have to tell you what sort of act is that. You don't expect the Prime Minister of this country to talk in this language, this tone about his predecessor. He said all those things. Okay, fine. Mr. Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh was not all that great achiever, though in my eyes he was the best Prime Minister after Nehru and the best Finance Minister ever as far as intellect, vision and love for the country is concerned. But let us take his argument that yes, there were scandals in his time and all that stuff. Let us say that, okay, then Mr. Prime Minister Modi, how is this country coming to such a pass under your watch? What great things Nirmala Sitharaman has done that the economy of this country has actually contracted by more than 20%. You cannot behave COVID. That will be a very, very deceptive move. Denotification screwed up this thing. Your failure to get foreign direct investments into this country is another reason. The violence unleashed on the minorities throughout the country, which actually created such a negative image of our country abroad that nobody wanted to invest over here. they are not coming here because the corruption is still rampant, because it is not easy to set up business in India even today. Subventing of the, not the circumventing, of the democratic ethics, if not possible, has adverse effect on parliamentary processes, parliamentary conduct, parliamentary behavior, parliamentary ethics. They will not answer the issues related to their respective ministries. They will counterattack you. They will go into whataboutery. They will do everything. They will just go round and round and round, keep on attacking Congress, bring in Nehru or anything, but they will not answer the questions they are supposed to answer. And I'm not talking only about BJP. The other parties had been doing the same. Even we have seen emergency during Indira Gandhi's time. We have seen how institutions were being subverted during her watch. And instead of rebuilding those institutions, instead of bringing in more democracy, which we expected Narendra Modi to do, because that's what he seemed to promise when he criticized Congress for destroying democracy in India. But what are you doing? You talked about corruption and all that, but what's happening under your watch? You talked about Beti Bachao and all that, the rape thing, then now it is getting worse. Violence in the streets is getting worse. Common man is feeling very, very insecure on the street. But all these things are never, ever discussed in the parliament. We keep on hearing about all sorts of things which are not really germane to the welfare of this country. You tell us what you are doing to strengthen the economy. You tell us what you are doing to make people safer, how the internal law and order situation will be improved. How has any minister in your government ever resigned for the failure of any ministry? I have not seen a single resignation, be it railway accidents, very, very serious railway accidents happened, terror attacks, be it anything. You just keep quiet about it. No discussions on it, neither in the parliament, nor anybody comes out, any responsible spokesperson comes out and addresses the media. The parliament is where the collective wisdom of the people of India is represented. They should participate in discussions which are of relevance to this country, to the people of this country, search for solutions to the problems facing this country, whether it is unemployment, whether it is economy, whether it is law and order, the increase in the number of criminals or people with criminal backgrounds in our elected bodies, right from grassroots right to the top. These are the issues that need to be addressed and solutions should be found to them. But they're somehow not given even a once over. They are just ignored. We have got a wonderful country, constitution. The visionaries, those intellectual giants, they have gifted us a constitution which is really a blessing to this country. Please make sure that this constitution is respected and followed in word and spirit. Let our parliament become the ultimate repository of the collective wisdom of this country, not of undesirable elements. Thank you.